Hello and welcome to Taking You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today, of course, the star of the show, the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. How you doing today, sir?
John, I'm doing great today. Thanks for asking.
What is going on in the world of the JPWA?
We're just trending right along on the 6th week, actually 7th week. So we're rolling right along.
Anything special, anything different, anything cool going on?
I wish I had some cool special things to tell you about, but we've just been working hard, and they've been sweating pretty good in the SPCW Sportatorium, and they've been having some good practices. So that's about it.
Now, as far as the wrestling world, I don't know how much you've been paying attention to this. I doubt you have been, but just an interesting little note about Cody Rhodes. So people were wondering how much merch he sold, supposedly at $1 million the week of WrestleMania, which is a pretty high number. So he's
Hmm.
doing very well, according to Fanatics. Now, Fanatics sells the WWE merch. They sell the NFL merch. They sell NBA, NHL. I mean, they basically sell all the merch. Cody Rhodes is in the top 10 for all of the website, all of the sports, not just WWE. So he's in the top 10 for merch seller. So he's apparently a pretty big merch seller.
Well, good for him. Obviously, they picked the right guy then. So good for Cody.
Yeah, kind of makes those Cody haters look looking bad right now. If this guy's selling the most merch.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, what can you say to that except congratulations, Cody?
Are you surprised?
No, not really. He was
Wow, all
getting
right.
he was getting momentum at WrestleMania, and when they finally pulled the trigger, I mean, I think you can't deny that he's the top guy right now.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Ibsen, hello, Ibsen.
Ibsen,
Jason, hello. Hope
we can
all's
stream you
well.
both. Yeah, great.
Yeah. The modern day cowboy himself, Mitch Miller. Good evening. Good evening to
Good
Mitch.
evening, Mitch.
Barbara, hello. Hope you're doing
Barbara,
well.
tremendous.
Phil, hello to
And
Phil.
Phil.
Oh, of course, ATF. Hello, ATF. He says, do you suspect that the hands of Stone, Ronnie Garvin, caused the bridge collapse on Pelican Island today by punching it?
I have it on good authority that Ronnie was in Galveston today having shrimp, and I don't know where he ventured out to, but he was in the Galveston area today. I heard that.
Oh, another bridge collapse. Damn, what the hell's going on out there?
Well, I don't think the bridge collapsed all the way. It ran into the bridge, but I don't think it collapsed.
And we're talking about
Uh,
Ronnie Garvin here.
well, no, Ronnie didn't collapse it. He,
No.
he, he might have run into it with his hands of stone.
But remember the bridge over in the Baltimore area
Well, of
collapsed
course,
a few weeks ago. Yeah, that was
Francis
crazy.
Key Francis Key Scott Bridge.
Yep.
Sure,
Or Francis Scott Key, either way.
or
Uh,
whatever.
yep. B40, good
Francis Key
evening.
Scott. Yeah, yeah, that one.
Good evening. Bara, hello, hello.
Bara.
Phil is saying hello to everybody. Hello, hello. Now, just wanted to mention this right off the top, too, because I was just reading the New York Post online. Janelle Grant Vince McMahon case took a very interesting turn. I don't know if you saw this, read this, or anything like this,
Mm-mm.
but so remember when the case first came out, she was on the offensive. She had all the text messages, so that was able to be released and put out there. Some crazy stuff was said. So now he has the chance, I guess. They must have gotten her into her messages and stuff now because everything she sent, there was nothing sent back and there was no
Right.
context to it. So now we're getting the full context and the full picture. And Janelle Grant was texting him that she liked rough sex. She wanted pictures of this, pictures of that, pictures of him with other people. She wanted to take pictures of other people as well. Not only that, they were living in the same complex. She was engaged at one point, cheating on the boyfriend, if you will, or on the fiance.
Wow.
And also to throw out there, which is another crazy curveball as well, when she said her parents were dead, apparently they died years earlier. So that was even an exaggeration by her and the lawyer to start off the case, because it made it out to seem that she was alone and her parents were dead. And she's 40 something years old here. I mean, and her parents died a few years earlier. So, man, the tables have turned big time. And it looks like Vince, I don't know, it looks like Vince is going to end up skating away, maybe with an arbitration case, of course, but I don't think it's going to actually go to trial.
Well, that's interesting because I said when it happened, if it's true that it's some bad stuff, but you never know. So if they've uncovered all the text messages and whatnot from this woman, then and it puts the spotlight on her now.
It kind of makes all those crazy texts that he sent. Everybody's like, "Oh, what a nut!" Throwing hers in there too. It's right on par with what she was talking about. So she's just as guilty of being crazy and all that stuff as he is. So
Yeah,
two
it
freaks.
takes two to tango on that stuff, I guess. So, what about Laurinaitis saying he was a victim too?
So apparently, no longer. He is now on Vince McMahon's side. He has turned and he has filed a motion for arbitration as well. So he joined Vince's case. WB joined Vince as well.
So John is taking back that he's not a victim.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So how does it
Does
make
that
him look?
does that surprise you at all with Johnny Ace? Does that
No,
surprise you?
not really. It doesn't. No.
But
Mm-mm.
apparently, I guess his lawyer at first thought it was a good idea to kind of say he was a victim. Now looking at the case and now all the evidence is coming in from the other side of things, and now the lawyer must be saying to him, John, I think we better jump to the other side. It's probably better to move to arbitration and get this thing over with.
Or maybe you ought to say, "Hey, John, maybe you ought to hire another lawyer."
Maybe that, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was, and I was surprised because I heard that he might turn, and I was like, I don't know about that after what he said, and yeah, he turned.
Well, a tangled web we weave, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously, if you have evidence that states your case, that's good for Vince then.
Absolutely. As far as the modern day cowboy is concerned, he says lots of talk about the hands of stone running government, but I'm more of a fan of Ox Baker's heart punch. Yes.
Well, I was too. I liked Alex Baker's heart punch too. I like Stan Stasiak's heart punch too. I think they both killed people in the ring with their heart punch.
Right. Definitely. Just going back to Janelle Grant for a second. B40 says, Broad is a freak. He loves it. Nice. All
Well,
right.
yeah, I guess so.
Um, Mentioning Ric Flair here, of course, kind of want to talk a little bit about Nate tonight. Ibsen says, when was the first time you actually met the Nature Boy Ric Flair? Woo.
I don't know, Atlanta, 81, 82.
Wow. That early on. I know you wrestled him in '84 in Portland. So, wow, you met him before that.
Yeah, sure did.
What'd you think of Nate?
Kind of fun time around him. He's great.
Did you party with him in Atlanta?
Yes, yes, I did.
Nice.
Yes, that was when the kamikazes were flown.
Yes. Is
Yeah.
it true that sometimes he'd buy a kamikaze and he'd buy you one and you're drinking one and he's only drinking half of it and you're drinking one? Like he's getting you more drunk than he's getting himself. Is that
Well, I never personally witnessed that, but I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that he would buy a tray of kamikazes and everybody would be drinking,
oh
and I think by that time I don't think anybody was really paying attention to who was drinking half or who was throwing what away because that's just a waste.
yeah, true.
Yeah, I think.
Scorch, good evening. One thing that's come to light is that the Gainesville pizzeria only had one toilet with a stall. Wow. Ric Flair said that a surgery from 2017 causes him to go number two often. Interesting from Scorch.
Hmm. Well, I had no idea.
A lot of information with that. So the surgery obviously caused an issue there, but he's also has very keen eye for this Gainesville pizzeria. Only has one toilet with a stall. Wow.
Well, those are facts that I guess you have to do a fact checking or fact finding mission to find out. So I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scorch, he should be like an investigative journalist. You know
How
what
do
I
you
mean?
know he's not?
Yeah, he might be. I might have to find out.
Yeah.
Um, Barbara, going back to Vince, she says McMahon dodged a bullet several times. He spent millions in lawyers' fees. Has this one finally done him in? I don't know. It seems like the tide has been turning on this
Oh, I don't know because he just cashed in all that stock. So I I don't
one.
know
Yeah,
if this has done him in
billions,
or not.
billions
Yeah.
of dollars he got out of it.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, Vince has obviously he's got more than one life.
Yep. Great question here from ATF. Tom's favorite Tom of this group: Tom Brady, Tom Hardy, or Tom Hanks?
I'll go with Brady.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Have you seen the 10-part documentary series called The Dynasty that's on Apple TV about the Patriots
I
from
have not.
basically '01 to 2021? No, you haven't.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I have not.
Excellent. Excellent. 10
What?
episodes. So it's really good. And they interview Belichick and Brady. I mean, they interview everybody, but it really,
How
really
long?
good.
How long are the episodes?
45 minutes each episode, I think.
So it basically takes you 10 hours to watch.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Great documentary, though. I loved it. Kind of gave more information about a lot of the interesting Spygate, Deflategate, Belichick not playing Malcolm Butler and costing them the Super Bowl against the Eagles, which was so dumb and idiotic that you have to be crazy that he did that. But then the next year came back and they beat the Rams, and Belichick was a genius. So crazy stuff. But the good relationship. Well, actually, good stuff on the relationship between Brady and Belichick, even though they did not have a good relationship.
I
So.
thought Belichick was a great coach.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just still don't understand why he didn't play Malcolm Butler in that Super Bowl when they're getting their defense is getting destroyed. He's their best player. Crazy.
Maybe he's having a bad day.
No, Robert Kraft said it was some personal issue.
That's what I mean. Maybe he's having a bad day. I hated him.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you got to keep that out of there. You got to keep your personal. You put the best players on the field.
Oh, okay. Well, you tell that to somebody like. I
Belichick.
mean, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Anyway.
Interesting here from Magazine Retriever. Jim Cornette's take on the Ric Flair incident is hilarious. He pokes fun of the bad captioning of the dialogue, joking that Rick was accused of racism for calling the manager "quote unquote" Egyptian.
He called him Egyptian.
How is that racist?
I don't know.
I thought it was maybe the worst thing he said was he was saying Nicholas. Your name's Nicholas. How about Nicholas Dickhead? How about Nicholas Dipshit? I thought that maybe that was the worst part of it.
Well, maybe so, but once again, Rick was probably very upset. Because obviously he was upset.
And the stall thing that Scorch mentioned that would upset me as well if that's actually 100% true.
Sure.
Ibsen wants to know: how did Cornette think overall of Flair as a person, not the wrestler, just Ric Flair the
Well,
person?
I think Jimmy loved Rick. I think he still does.
Do you
Rick
love?
was, huh?
Do you love him?
Well, I like Rick. I don't know that I love him, but I've always got along with Rick.
Yeah, Cornette and Rick were pretty close, right, throughout the years.
Yeah, yeah.
Dale says, I think a close friend or family member needs to chaperone Ric Flair when he's away from home. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he had family members there when he was away from home, and it didn't work. I mean, he was celebrating with his family, right?
At one point, yeah, I thought he was.
Yeah. So it's not. I don't think it's always easy to get somebody away from where they want to be. If Flair wants to drink, he's going to drink. But I agree. You need to have somebody there to keep you out of trouble.
What about Desperado Joe Gomez? What about him? I know he's down there.
I have no idea. I have no idea
Uh,
what Joe's doing. Yeah.
uh, I know he's down there in Tampa, so maybe he could. I know Flair's friends
Well, I
with him.
think he's living with Joe, but I don't know what Joe's doing. I mean, I have no idea what Joe does.
He owns like several businesses. He's like pretty entrepreneur-ish, if you will.
Right? Well, didn't save Rick.
Phil says, "Don't forget, Dr. Tom did some commentating with the legendary Gordon Soul.
Yes, I did.
What was that like?"
It was great. Piper got stabbed, and they asked me to do it, and I did it.
Did they like a wrestler with Gordon Soley rather than two commentators? Because it seemed like that was like the go-to, obviously, with Piper
I
before that.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that. I think they just put Piper there for whatever reason, but I don't know. No idea.
Did you enjoy commentating?
I did at that time. Yeah, because it was new and exciting, and I got to see a different side of things. So yeah, it was. It was fun at that time.
How devastating would Ox Baker's heart punch be if he was wearing a coal miner's glove? Or actually, if he won a coal miner's glove match?
I think it would be deadly. That's what I think.
I don't know why. I just never a fan of that gimmick, the coal miner's glove. I know you love it, but I don't know. For some reason, I was never into
Why
that
in the
gimmick.
hell do you know I loved it?
Because we've talked about that before. It was one of your favorite gimmicks, wasn't it?
Man, where are you listening? What the hell are you listening to?
Do you like the coal miner's glove? I'm not a big fan.
No, I had to climb up a goddamn pole to get a glove. What for? What? I had no reason to get a glove. There was, yeah, they made me the king of the coal miners glove match in California when I was there. So no, it wasn't one of my favorite gimmicks.
Have you
That's
ever done?
ridiculous. That's how rumors and innuendo get started.
Yes. Have
Yes.
you ever done any coal mining?
Yeah, twice. I did it. I did it on a Saturday one night. We went down to the coal mines here in Knoxville. It went down and I went down about 14 miles in the coal mines. Got some coal, brought it back, put it in my heater. And then I did it another Sunday too. So yeah,
And the West Virginia coal mines you
of
probably went
course,
to.
of
Yep.
course. John Denver and me were tight.
From Ibsen, he says, "Did Brother Brucey drink Ric Flair under the table? Is that true or false?" Speaking of rumor and
Uh,
innuendo,
I have no idea. I don't know if he drank him on the table or not, but Bruce can hold his own.
from Jason, I heard that a lot of times Rick would order the other people shots of vodka, but his glass would have water. And any truth to that?
Well, I have no idea because every time I drank with Ric Flair, mine had liquor in it. So I don't know what Rick's had. I didn't test his, didn't check his. I just assumed he was there to have a good time.
B40, Dr. Tom, between the Dallas Cowboys, the movie Urban Cowboy, and J.R. Ewing and Dallas, was Texas the center of the world in the late 70s and early 80s?
Well, I know that in the 70s, the NWA named Houston the city of the 70s. At least that's what Paul Bosch said. He had the plaque on the wall, city of the 70s. So at one time, Texas was pretty hot.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
I'm an indifferent fan. I'm not I'm not a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, but if they're playing somebody from up north, or then I'm gonna root for the Dallas Cowboys. Otherwise, I'm gonna go for the Houston Texans.
Were you a fan of the TV show Dallas?
No, I
So
didn't watch the TV show Dallas.
not a big J.R. Ewing fan.
No, not really.
I think JBL was though. I think that's pretty obvious.
Well, yeah, but JBL was that big old Texan fella.
Yes. Barbara says, please ask Dr. Tom if Ric Flair we see on TV is the person he really is. Does he really live his gimmick? Thank you.
Yes, he does, I think anybody who's ever met Rick will know he lives his gimmick. He's very polite and very nice. And then when he gets in the party mode, he becomes Rick.
Dancing, woo, all night long.
He does dance all night long.
Did Ric Flair ever go to the USWA back in their heyday?
I believe he did. I believe he made some appearances at Channel 5 and wrestled Lawler. And I don't know if he ever worked at Dundee, but I know he worked at Lawler.
I don't think USWA, but CWA, Memphis, yes.
Oh, maybe it was CWA.
Yeah.
I don't know. When you say USWA, I think of Memphis.
Yeah. Yep. From Craig Seaback, Flair was fat in Vern Gagne's movie, The Wrestler. The movie is on YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah, Rick had weight problems. But
Did you happen to see the Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes Rivals that was just on A&E? Did you happen to watch that documentary?
I did not.
Oh, it's pretty good. Maybe
Yeah.
not 100%. You know, WWE skips over stuff and they kind of ignore some stuff. So some of the stuff was like a little bit wonky just because they don't really follow the timeline exactly. They kind of just, and it could be edited too. It could be just edited oddly, but they didn't follow the timeline exactly. But they were mentioning that Flair was such a Dusty fan early in his career when he was fat that he basically was rambling Ricky Rhodes. You wanted to be the next Dusty Rhodes.
Right. Well, I heard that. I think everybody's heard that or knows anything about Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those crazy things that
Is
imagine.
that Vern Gaines? Vern Gons.
Vern Gons, but I think he means Vern Gagne.
Okay.
Gagne, Vern Gagne.
All right. Cool.
Pretty good though. Pretty good for WWE as far as that show. X-Pac had a lot of stuff because he lived in the Florida area, so he had a lot of good stuff from being a fan and seeing Dusty.
Good.
Modern Day Cowboy, where's the best slice of pizza in your local area, Dr. Tom?
Wow. I'm trying to think. Charlie's Pizza in La Follette. That's right by the school. It's Charlie's Pizza in La Follette, Tennessee.
What makes it so great?
It has that good, greasy New York pizza taste to it.
Nice. You need that.
Big slices.
You need that.
Yeah, grease dripping down your chin.
Barbara says, is the excellent cardiovascular shape Rick is in the main reason he's still alive today?
I think he's still alive because he hasn't died yet. I think he's still alive because he's lucky.
He was always in great shape. I know he blew you up a few times when you guys were training, so I know he was in great shape. Better shape than a lot of.
Now, how do you know he blew me up a couple times?
I think you've mentioned that before.
Well, I've worked out with Flair. I don't know that he blew me up. I mean, I had a pretty good workout with him. But all these rumors and innuendos are I'm starting to fact check.
Oh, damn.
Just so you know, I'm not letting them go by.
It's like when you see those people online, you have those fact checkers.
Yes. I'm gonna fact check that shit because I don't think Ric Flair blew me up while we were training. I hung in there with him. Same thing with Mark Lewin.
Oh, he was in great shape though, Flair. Cardio,
tremendous shape.
Crazy.
Yeah,
tremendous shape.
Yeah.
He may be immortal though, because I don't know if you can kill Flair. You know what I mean? He just seems like he's been through a lot, and the plane crash, everything. You can't kill this guy.
Well, that's what I mean. It's I think he's got luck on his side.
No doubt, Vince is going to start another company. Do you agree with that?
I don't know who you get for talent. I mean,
who's out there? Who's left? That's not in the
who's
contract.
he going to start a company with? I don't think so.
Yeah, there's literally nobody out there.
Nobody to start a company with. Nobody to carry you.
Nope. Kelly says, "Give him hell, Dr. Tom."
Yeah, it's about time I did.
Here we go. Bo James, the king of Kingsport. Waylon is watching with me. He said to say hi to Dr. Tom.
Well, hi, Waylon. Hope you're doing good tonight.
I wonder if Waylon was named after country music legend Waylon Jennings. I
I'm
wonder,
gonna
do you
go
know
out
that?
on a limb and say yeah.
All right. I kind
You
of thought
know,
so.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say yeah.
Your opinion back then, when you knew Flair had won the WWF Royal Rumble in 1992, winning the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, which was vacant. What were your thoughts on that?
It made sense because it was Ric Flair and he's coming to WWF at that time, and uh, yeah, it made sense. That's what I thought. I thought that was a good thing.
Were you surprised at all just because Vince usually doesn't, push the WCW, NWA guys too much?
No, I wasn't surprised because it's Flair. Flair kind of transcends wrestling and NWA, WWF, AWA. Anywhere he went, he'd be Ric Flair. And it's kind of hard to do anything except make him the world champion or make him the champion of whatever company he's in.
I loved it. Might be the best Royal Rumble of all time. 92 with Flair winning. Might be the best.
Even better than Austin?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I just love
Fair
that
enough.
Royal Rumble. There's so many Savage and Hogan and Sid, Taker, Jake. I mean, there's so many good guys. And Rowdy Piper, Slaughter. There's so many guys. That Rumble's loaded.
Well, I loved Rally Piper too.
Rowdy Piper. What about Roddy Piper?
Yeah, you said Rally Piper.
Oh, Roddy Piper. Roddy.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure.
The Rowdy Scott, if you will.
Sure.
ATF throwing this out there for you. Tom Brady went to Michigan. Belichick's first official coaching job was with Detroit. Coincidence? No.
Well, aren't all athletics a relationship business? Isn't, getting to know your coach and getting to know people? And I learned that late in life. I learned it the hard way. That's why I'm here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learned that. You definitely learned that in WWE.
Yes. That's what I meant. So, I mean, yeah, it makes sense, ATF. Makes a lot of sense.
Were you backstage when HBK and Flair fought in 2008 in Ric Flair's retirement match, WrestleMania 24?
Yes. Yes, it was.
What did you think about it? Were you emotional at all?
I don't know if I was emotional, but I thought it was a hell of a match. I thought it told a great story.
Awesome match for sure.
Yeah, if that makes you emotional. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Jason, is it possible the whole pizza incident was Ric Flair working everybody for attention, aka quote unquote living the gimmick? Question mark.
Well, only Rick knows that for sure, so we can only assume. You know what happens when we assume. So
If he was though, it definitely worked because everybody covered it and it was all over the place. Everybody was talking about Flair.
I don't know if that's the kind of attention he wanted because
True.
he apologized, didn't he?
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But maybe setting up a match with him and Nicholas Dipshit. So you never know.
well, that's a good point. I mean, your headset covers most of it, but you got a great point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boring Banana with a cat picture of a cat wearing sunglasses says Flair needs to go to AA ASAP.
I don't know that Rick would go because that's for quitters. Rick's not a quitter.
Tom did commentary with Kevin Kelly for Sunday Night Heat as well. Did you love that?
I enjoyed it. Don't know if I loved it, but again, it was something different, and I liked working with Kevin Kelly. That was nice.
What do you think about Kevin's comments recently? He was recently let go of AEW, had some maybe not so nice things to say about Ian Riccaboni.
Oh no! What did he say?
Basically, that kind of like the guy cost him his job. Basically, he was trying to say.
How'd the guy cost him his job?
I guess there's some behind the scenes politics maybe that we're not aware of.
Well, I think that's with any job, and I think that's with any company, especially in wrestling. You're going to have some behind the scenes stuff, and and it's going to be crazy no matter what, no matter who it is,
He
whether
did
it's
rip.
a huh?
He did rip New Japan too. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
He ripped them.
Yeah,
Why?
because the president came out and said like he's tired of being a feeder. He, they build up the guys, and then WB or AEW takes them that they want to be a strong competition, and he basically was saying, well, then why would you let it happen? You let your best guy go with Okada, and he was saying some valid points, but he kind of was going back at New Japan for some of the stuff that they had done.
Well, Kevin has his opinions, and he's always been opinionated, which is what I like about him. So, what's he doing now?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe he's got a quote unquote real job, or a job away from wrestling, but I'm not sure. But I did see that he's doing some like online coaching and stuff, and like Zoom calls if you want to learn commentating and all this other stuff. So if you see him, Kevin Foote or Kevin Kelly online, you'll find some valuable information. I feel like that would be a great guy because he worked for WWF, he worked for Ring of Honor, he worked for New Japan Pro Wrestling, worked for AEW. I mean, he worked everywhere.
Yes, he did, and I think he's learning. Sometimes, we either learn or we don't. But sometimes it's better to remain silent and be thought of what they think of you than speak up, remove all doubt.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
True. Got to play the politic game. He wasn't having it. Wasn't doing it. Barbara said, "I heard Rick wasn't supposed to drink anymore due to his health issues. Is he being careless? Hope he doesn't jeopardize his health."
well, I don't think Rick cares. I think Rick is here for a good time, not a long time. So I don't know. I think I just think he's here to live his life the way he wants to live it. Doesn't want anybody to tell him anything else, no matter how bad a shape he was in at one time. It's obvious he doesn't care.
Yeah. If Flair did a class for you at your school, what would you want him to teach your students?
Charisma, if you can teach that, and how to be a star, what to do to be a star. In his early days, you can't deny that Ric Flair was a star. That's what I would like him to teach him.
To me, he's maybe the perfect wrestler, Nate. He has all the tools you need. He's got them. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I don't know if you could explain how to get them. You can talk about your experiences, but you can't give somebody your experiences. So you you can do the best you can and explain how you did it, but somebody's got to find their own way. Everybody's going to find their own way.
I feel like that's why like Michael Jordan would never be a good coach. How could you teach somebody to be
Right.
as good as you? Yeah, that's a hard thing for sure.
Yeah, that was the deal with DiBiase too. DiBiase was so good he couldn't tell anybody. He could tell you how he did his stuff, but he couldn't tell you how to do your stuff.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
I mean, yeah, it really does. It really
Would a
does.
confrontation between Ronnie Garvin and Haku have been the end of times for all of us?
Well, it depended what kind of mood Haku was in that day, because Garvin in the hands of stone. I got something on here. Here we go. Garvin in his hands of stone, and Haku in his killer hands or killer head, whatever it is, might bite his nose off. So
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. Craig says Dutch Savage would have taken the glove from Ox and beat him down. They say Dutch never lost a coal miner's glove match. Do you know if that's a fact?
Well, you know what? I remember when Dory Funk Sr. came to Houston, and he had never lost a Texas Death Match in over 2,000 Texas Death Matches, or whatever it was. I mean, can you imagine how many days? It's 2,000 days if you had 2,000 Texas Death Matches. You never lost one.
Oof.
So Then he came to Houston. He lost with his first one ever to Jose Lothario. So Dutch Savage, they might say never lost a coal miners match, but he might have gone somewhere and he might have claimed to be the king of the coal miners gold match and walked right in there and got his ass beat, just like Dory Funk Sr. did. So what I'm saying is, in wrestling, it could be fabricated. It could stretch the truth just a little bit.
Yes.
Not
Definitely.
that I would ever condone that, but that's what happens sometimes.
Just realized, how would Ox Baker actually climb a pole? Don't think that's actually possible.
Well, he would wait till the babyface climbed the pole and then come down and knock him out with the heart punch and grab the coal miner's glove.
Not a bad idea. Scorch
Yeah.
says, I like lumberjack matches. Bret Hart tells a funny story about how Sid refused to be a lumberjack, to be in a lumberjack match because he didn't want Canadian football players touching him. Interesting. Scorch coming down with all this good data, facts today.
Well, that's going to have to be fact checked too, because I've never heard that either. But not saying it couldn't have happened.
Ibsen said yes. He's late '95. He remembers it was a Superstars taping.
Well, there you have it. We've got corroboration.
Bret Hart also said Owen would have a field day ribbing Sid if Sid had not left the company in 1992.
Probably so. Sid was a. I got along with Sid, but Sid was a pretty intense guy sometimes.
I could see that.
He needed to loosen up.
There's a great JR interview before a pay-per-view, before an In Your House. He's interviewing DiBiase and Sid screws up his line, and he goes, "Oh, let me do that over again." And JR turns to him and goes, "It's live, pal."
Yeah, I've seen that. We're live, pal.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, he needed to loosen up a little bit and have some fun.
I always loved his promos though, because he's crazy, he's maniacal, so you can kind of just say whatever you want,
Well, he was crazy and maniacal in a calculated way because Sid could, I don't know, Sid could talk in a rational way. He had a hair trigger temper. So
Jason is saying Cowboys were garbage in the 1980s.
yeah, but in the 70s they ruled.
Yeah. Sorry
America's team. Yeah.
Yeah. Bret and Dr. Tom had a great match in February 1994 on Raw. Was it a request from Bret, Tom, or The Office?
No, they just booked the match. They just put it on there.
That is a great match, and I months ago Dax and Cash, of course, FTR, and they both mentioned it's one of their favorite matches to go back and watch. We were just saying random Bret Hart matches that they loved, and they said you versus Dr. Tom, or Bret versus Dr. Tom, you versus Bret.
Or me versus Dr. Tom, because I take on Dr. Tom all the time. Yeah.
Would you put that in one of your favorite matches? The Bret match?
Yeah, that was the only time we worked too. So I would have liked to have been able to work with Bret a little more, but that was the only time I ever worked with Bret.
Ric Flair claims he's the only person ever to pay 3 different women alimony at the same time. Do you think that's true?
God only knows. I mean, why would he lie about that?
That
I don't
stinks.
know.
Oof.
Yeah.
No wonder he was looking for money for a while. Oof.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot.
The Politician. Hey, Dr. Tom, this is The Politician out in New Hampshire. Pretty soon I'll be reaching out to Glenn for an endorsement. Wow, this is The Politician.
Well, okay. But good luck with getting Glenn to endorse you if he doesn't know you.
Great gimmick, though.
Is it? Have you seen it?
I don't know, I'm just judging by that picture. It just looks like an awesome gimmick.
That looks like an honest guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
I've heard Rick would often walk around the hotels with his robe on and nothing underneath. Can Dr. Tom confirm this?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
From a bunch of wrestlers. That is true.
Yeah.
Dale said, it seemed to me like Ric Flair often wore his knee pads below his knees. I never understood why he didn't pull them up, aka pull up the knee pads to cover his knees.
He didn't have any calves. That was the explanation he gave. He wore his knee pads down because he didn't have any calves. I never understood it either until I asked him. He said, "I
Call me
don't have any calves, brother."
call me crazy though. I think it looked awesome. It enhanced the look because everybody puts them up to the knee pads. He was different. He kept them down. It looked cool.
Yeah, yeah, it worked for him. So, but I needed my knees protected, so I wore my knee pads over my knees.
Yep. And you probably had some calves. He had no calves.
Well, that's debatable too, but doesn't matter. He's Ric Flair. You can get away with it.
In the end, there will only be two people alive in this world, according to Brendan. Ric Flair and Ozzy Osbourne.
What about Keith Richards?
Oh, I was just thinking of him. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
up there too. Yeah.
Yeah, they all are on borrowed time.
He can't be killed with conventional weapons, Keith Richards.
Yeah, cockroaches and Flair, Ozzy, and Keith Richards.
Phil says fact checking, quote unquote, didn't exist until the truth started getting out. A quote I just read and like that is true. I saw that too. Somebody put that there was never fact checkers before until people started getting real information. They don't like that information. So
Right.
now it's like, oh, so they have to change it, fact check. Yeah. And then I saw some pictures of some people who were fact checkers. I'm like, man, these
Yeah.
do not look like credible people that they have as fact checkers
Well,
either.
you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah,
You,
that's true.
you
That's
have to
true.
judge a book by their information.
And their
I
information
don't.
has not been good to those fact checkers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That too.
The legend himself, Sam Herschler. How do you say Vince McMahon is going to start a company with Double J Jeff Jarrett? Could that be a rumor? Vince and Jeff Jarrett.
I don't know again what crew he would get to make up his company. He doesn't have a Hulk Hogan out there. He doesn't have anybody. He doesn't have, there's WWE and then there's everybody else. And I don't know that Vince would be welcome back even if his name is cleared.
I also don't know if he'd want to compete against the juggernaut that he built either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like, oh, wait, I built those guys.
right. So it makes that doesn't make any sense to me.
Ragu, the Ragu Overlord says Rumble 92 is one of the best Rumbles ever. Yes, for sure. Scorch is back. He said Terry Taylor mentioned being concerned about Ric Flair's drinking too much the night before a match. Then Rick surprised him the next day by wrestling with him for over an hour. Rick blew Terry up in their match. Awesome.
Yeah, that was in Louisiana. So, Rick was going an hour every night and he was drinking every night and going out and partying. And so he was in condition. He was conditioned to work like that, work an
He's
hour
a
and then go
machine.
out. Yeah, he's a machine. No doubt.
Mitch wants to know, is there a particular Flair promo or interview that you remember that you really like or is your favorite?
Not really. I mean, I enjoyed when he took all his clothes off and threw his shoes out in the crowd. I mean, that was one that stood out to me. But Ric Flair was Ric Flair. Every one of his promos you could learn something from and just realize that was him with the volume turned all the way up.
So many good ones. I just love all of his lines too. Sit down, fat boy. All that stuff. A great one, WCW, that may be forgotten was his one against Eric Bischoff when he came back from his little suspension from after he went to Reed Flair's wrestling tournament when he wasn't allowed to. He kept yelling at Bischoff, abuse of power. He was yelling, getting so much, his mouth was starting to bleed. He was getting so amped up, and he kept yelling abuse of power at Bischoff. Just so many good. Every Flair promo is great.
Well, yeah, you know how to deliver.
Craig is saying Stampede TV was competitive matches, not star versus jobber. Did any other territories use that method?
Mid South did that occasionally, but I don't know that it was a regular thing. But Mid South occasionally had competitive matches on there.
Dr. Tom, is Ric Flair the greatest of all time? He's certainly on the Mount Rushmore. Do you think he's the GOAT?
Well, he's certainly one of the goats. I mean, there's other people who are greatest of all time in their uh, in their place. Rick had his place, and he definitely deserves to be on Mount Rushmore. And he did. He was the last of the real world champions. That was a touring world champion. And everywhere he went, he dressed the part, looked the part, was the part. No matter how late he stayed out, he always came in the building looking great, and go out and deliver. So he's certainly one of the greatest of all time.
Got to be up there. Got to be for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely Mount Rushmore for sure. What did you think of Mr. Perfect as Flair's manager in WWF?
I thought he was good. Yeah, that was when I think Kurt did the Lloyd's of London deal, right? Hurt his back.
Well, he got injured. He would do Lloyd's of London a few years later, but this was like the beginning of like the injury bug. Basically,
Oh, okay.
was catching him.
Well, I thought Kurt did a great job.
Mr. Perfect, he rolled.
Yes.
Boring Banana says in their prime, Haku versus Ken Shamrock. Who do you think wins?
Oh wow. I don't know if anybody wins on that one. Yeah, I don't know. Boring Banana. That's a hard one to pick.
I'm thinking street fight, Haku, but I don't know. Shamrock is
Well, Shamrock was a different kind of. He was a different breed.
yeah, he's an animal too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
an animal.
that's a tough one. Knowing that Vince pushed big monsters back in the 80s, do you think that Tully Blanchard would have been lucky to just be a mid Carter in the WWF?
Well, yeah, but Tully was a great heel. Tully knew how to work and be a heel. Uh, so when did Arn and Tully go to WWE?
88, late 88.
So, they were there and
Tag team champions.
tag team champions.
Beat
So
Demolition.
right. So I think there was more than size that mattered back then too. I mean, yeah, he was pushing the monsters and it really counted, but it was Tully had that ability to get heat. He was a great heel.
Flair should have been at 80s Con with the Four Horsemen. Wow, Ibsen laying down the law there about 80s Con.
Where was he? Oh, in Florida. Gotcha.
But I don't think he was allowed. I'm pretty sure because he's either under Fitterman or Fanatics or AEW. Somebody's got Flair. I don't know if they're allowed to do signings if they're a part of like a bigger company. I don't think so. They may
I
have
don't
an out.
know.
They may have an
Yeah.
out on that one.
Yeah.
Did Flair learn the chop from Wahoo McDaniel?
Yeah, I think he and Wahoo, always competed to see who could chop each other the hardest. I'm pretty sure he did.
Is George South the nicest guy in the history of wrestling?
Certainly one of them. Sure is.
You have any memories of the King of the Ring? His favorite will always be Owen Hart winning the King of the Ring, one of the best 1994 King of the Ring for Owen. Any memories of the King of the Ring?
I like when Austin won. I like when Austin 316 came about. That's one of my favorites because he wasn't supposed to win. That was supposed to be Triple H's deal.
Yep.
And Austin stepped up to the plate and started Austin 316.
Do you think it was hard for Ronnie to pilot his plane with the hands of stone, Ronnie Garvin?
Well, I have it on good authority that he used to beat the living hell out of his plane and have to get a new plane every time he'd land.
I love it.
Yeah.
Jason saying Flair Piper, very fun feud to watch back in the day.
Yeah, and they were good friends, so I'm sure they were having fun.
Frank, I think Vince McMahon could have avoided all this Janelle Grant drama if he just paid her the amount he agreed to pay her. Yes.
Well, yeah, for whatever reason, I guess he stopped. So
yeah, he
maybe
felt she
could.
broke the NDA, so he stopped paying her.
Right. So for whatever reason, she was having some issues, and she decided to pull this thing. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
The way Vern Gagne trained wrestlers, would that work today?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody would stick around for it. It's like it's a different culture, different era, and I don't know if anybody's willing to put up with that. Back then, you had to really want to be in the wrestling business, and Vern was trying to show everybody how tough it was and how hard it was, and it is tough and it is hard. But I just think with the culture we're in today, I don't know if anybody could live with it.
Dell says, I love Bobby Heenan's response to Ric Flair winning the Royal Rumble. Flair and Heenan complimented each other so well.
Yes, they did. I agree.
With the rumor of Jesse the Body Ventura to be signing with the WWE, what do you think he should do there?
Well, didn't we discuss this last time? I said I think Jesse's just doing a Legends deal. So
Yes.
whatever they want him to do, he could be an ambassador.
This episode should be dedicated to Nicholas Dickhead. Wow.
I hereby dedicate this episode to Nicholas Dickhead. I just dedicated it.
Doug wants to know, do you still bench press? Do you use dumbbells? Interesting.
Man,
Good
Doug,
question.
I have a torn labrum in my left shoulder, and I can't press right now. I'm pulling, and I looked up how long it takes to recover from shoulder surgery. It's anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and I just don't have that time. So I'm gonna have to wait and get my shoulder fixed. I tried to press last week. Man, if you ever had any shoulder problems, you know what I mean. But I was told I had a torn labrum years ago, 2 years ago, and I sure got it fixed then. And I have good days and bad days, but when I start pressing in the gym is when I feel it. So no, I haven't pressed. But I do use dumbbells.
Barry Darso said Tully Blanchard gave him a concussion and busted out his teeth with a steel chair during the Demolition versus Brainbusters feud.
Well,
By
that's
accident, of
possible.
course.
By accident, yeah. But that's possible.
Any memories of Bill Anderson?
I met Bill a couple times. Nice guy. That's about all I really know about Bill. Was just in passing. But I met Bill when I was in California.
Ever wrestle?
Don't think so.
He was on the Chris Colt episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
Yes, he was.
Yes, and I believe he had a hand in initially training Warrior and Sting, right? Out there with
Probably
Bassman
so.
and the gang out there.
With Rick Bassman, yeah. Probably. Makes sense.
Al Lindsay, woohoo! Let the gossip flow. Woo!
Rumors and innuendo.
Scorch, I can empathize with Dr. Tom. I have also had a serious labrum issue in the past.
Yeah, I can barely lift it right there.
How did it happen?
I think in the gym.
Damn. So you're not taking any bumps or anything at the school?
Could have been, but I doubt it.
All right, let's head towards the place. Let's wrap this bad boy up. Dr. Tom, where can everybody get a copy of your book?
Well, you can get a copy of my book at jpwrestlingacademy.com. You can also find out when our next training session is, and just click on the training tab at the top of the page, and it will bring you to my book. And if you want an autographed copy, you can email me at jpwrestlingacademy@gmail.com, and we'll send that out to you too.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2manpower. Follow Dr. Tom at Dr. Tom Prichard. Jason says, thank you. May misfortune get tombstone before it can reach you. That's a good one.
Well, that's a good one. Sure.
I like that. Just want to also mention this. WWE WrestleMania 41 will be in Las Vegas, Nevada, April 19th and April 20th of 2025. The Las Vegas town, if you will, paid $5 million to have the event. So they paid up big time to have WrestleMania in Las Vegas next year.
Well, they'll draw close to 40 million next year too. Those 2 days, no doubt.
Phil, Alan, thank you. Barbara, the cowboy himself, the modern day cowboy. Thank you. Barbara again. Oh, Barbara loves
Well,
the
just
autographed copy. Yes.
yeah, I just did. I just told that.
Yes. Also, Ric Flair needs to get your book, by the way.
I think he's got it. I think I gave him one.
Oh, good. Autograph copy, I hope.
Of course.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. See you right back here next week for a little Taking to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. We'll see you next week, folks.